ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here Lord Kapila is further describing about the behavior, perfect behavior of a self-realized soul, of a person who has advanced in spiritual life. How his perception in the world, his behavior is different from other people who are ignorant of reality. So here it is explained, such a perfect devotee offers respect to every living entity. So the question may be raised, why does a devotee offer respects to others? What is the reason behind it? Say for example, we go to a relative house. So we find when some elderly relatives, they come to our house, we exchange greetings with each other. Those who are younger, they may shake hand, embrace each other. Those who are elder, we bow down and touch their feet, right? So generally, this is how greetings are exchanged. Now, how does a self-realized soul, what is his understanding of greeting others, offering respects to others? This is very interesting to understand. He offers respects to every living entity with the understanding that the Supreme Lord has entered in the heart of every living entity. So when he is offering respect, he is offering respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not offering respect to this material body. When we are offering respect, we are offering respect to the material body. That is the distinction between a self-realized soul and an ordinary ignorant person. There is a very beautiful incident which occurs in Bhagavatam which explains this point very nicely. It so happened that Lord Shiva, he was in an assembly of great personalities, including even Lord Brahma and others were also there. Lord Shiva was absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord. Because we find that a pure devotee of the Lord, he is in constant meditation on the Supreme Lord, always thinking of the Supreme Lord. So, Lord Shiva was meditating, thinking about the Supreme Lord. At that time, what happened? Daksha entered that assembly. So others got up, but Lord Shiva, because he was absorbed in his meditation on the Supreme Lord, he did not see Daksha. So he did not get up. It is not that Lord Shiva intentionally did not get up. This is very important to understand. Lord Shiva was absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord, and thus probably he did not see Daksha, and he did not get up to receive him. So Daksha got offended, and he took that opportunity to curse Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva did not retaliate. Lord Shiva was in a position to counter curse and even to nullify the curse of Daksha. But Lord Shiva, being a great soul, did not counter curse. He just tolerated it. So in that purport, Prabhupada explains this very significant point. Daksha, not being very elevated, is considering in the terms of body. Actually, Daksha was always envious of Lord Shiva's position. Being highly spiritually advanced, Lord Shiva's position was always great. Not only that, Lord Shiva, being incarnation of the quality of the Supreme Lord, three gunas. He is a qualitative incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. These are guna avatars. So he was always situated higher than, his position was always higher than Daksha. Even in social understanding, Daksha was supposed to offer respect to Lord Shiva. Not that Lord Shiva has to get up for Daksha. That was his misunderstanding, because he was not elevated spiritually, he was ignorant spiritually. So he was thinking, Shiva is my son-in-law, I am his father-in-law, I am elder than him, he is supposed to offer respects to me. He is supposed to get up and greet me. And he did not get up. But actually, on spiritual platform, material age actually does not matter. We find this example in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukdev Goswami was very young, very young. Many elderly people, including his own father, Vyasa, was seated in the assembly when Shukdev Goswami was reciting Bhagavatam. So, he was chosen to be elevated to sit on Vyasasana. And everybody offered their respects to Shukdev Goswami. So, in spiritual understanding, hot water. In spiritual understanding, it is not the material age, material position, somebody is father-in-law, somebody is son-in-law, does not matter. We see another great example. Generally, parents are considered to be the spiritual master of their children. But we find Mother Devahuti accepting her own son Kapila as her spiritual master and hearing from Lord Kapila. So, this is a very important understanding that actually respects are offered to a highly elevated personality. In Vaishnava etiquette, it is said a Kanishta has to be offered respect in his mind. Elevated personality who is advanced in spiritual life, we should offer him respectful obeisances as we offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also serve him. That is a Vaishnava etiquette. So, his expectation was completely on material platform. Daksha was thinking on material platform. He took that as an opportunity because he was already envious of Lord Shiva's position. So he took that opportunity to curse him. So Prabhupada explains that actually Lord Shiva was already offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Millions of times being engaged in the thoughts of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So he's already offering his obeisances. So he does not need to offer obeisances to the body of Daksha. Because when he is offering obeisances to body of Daksha, it is not to the body. It is to the Supreme Lord who is present in that body. So anyway, it is not to the body. This just like when we are offering respect to the Supreme Lord, we are offering respect to the deities in the temple. It is considered to be temple because the Supreme Lord is present in that. It is not to an ordinary building that we offer our respect. This building gains importance because of the presence of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, so many other buildings are also there. But because there the center is not the Supreme Lord, that is ordinary building, this is a temple. So, Lord Shiva, he is not supposed to offer respect to an ordinary body because he is elevated in his consciousness and he is already offering his obeisances to the Supreme Lord in the heart of every living entity. Later, Lord Shiva explains this very nicely to Sati, his wife. Because she was wondering why Lord Shiva did not get up. Why he created this mess. That my father, he became angry and now I am unable to go to my house. So Lord Shiva explains to Sati. So that is very nicely described in Bhagavatam. My dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another and offering obeisances. So yes, that is a general etiquette. When somebody goes to somebody's house, friend's house, relative's house, then greetings are exchanged. Sometimes we embrace somebody, sometimes we offer our obeisances, respect. But then next he explains the behavior of advanced personality who is not on material and social platform, but those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respect to the super soul who is sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body. You see, this is very important. So actually, when we offer respect to others, it is the respect offered not to that material body of that person. It is offered because we consider that body as a temple because the Supreme Lord is present inside it. That is the understanding. It is not to the body per se. That has to be understood. So, and specifically to Daksha, who was identifying himself with his body. Isn't it? It is not to him. Respect is not offered to him. That respect is offered to the Paramatma sitting inside that body. So very nicely in the purport, Prabhupada clarifies all these points very, very clearly. So Prabhupada is saying, it may be argued, since Daksha was the father-in-law of Lord Shiva, it was certainly duty of Lord Shiva to offer him respect. In answer to that argument, it is explained here, when a learned person stands up or offer obeisances in welcome, he offers respect to the super soul who is sitting within everyone's heart. So it is two things. It is respect to the super soul sitting inside, and in the case of an advanced Vaishnava, it is also to that advanced devotee of the Lord. Whereas in the case of Daksha, as we can clearly understand, Lord Shiva is already offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Probably he did not see Daksha. And he is already offering obeisance, because if he would have offered obeisances to Daksha, it was again just to offer respect to the super soul, which is already offering. So, if he would have offered, it was not to Daksha, because Daksha is not elevated, that he has to be offered obeisances. Isn't it? That has to be understood. Whereas, let us say, instead of Daksha, if a great personality like Narada comes, of course, Narada is also in that sense, Lord Shiva is one of the greatest of the Vaishnavas. But when an elevated person comes and when respect is offered, it is both to the super soul and to that elevated Vaishnava. And the Lord becomes more pleased when respect is offered to the elevated devotee. That Lord Shiva himself says. Lord Shiva himself says, when Parvati was asking this question, that because she was thinking, I am only serving you, but will that service be, considered to be great service? Because I may not be engaged directly in the service of the Supreme Lord. So then Lord Shiva clarifies that. He says that yes, out of all kinds of worship, Aradhana nam sarvesham Vishnur Aradhana param, worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu is considered to be the greatest. But then he says, greater than that is Tadyanam Samarchanam. If somebody worships the great devotees of the Lord, who are related, Tadyanam, who are servants of the Lord, that worship is greater than worship of the Supreme Lord. So these two things have to be understood clearly. So Lord Shiva is clarifying, and Prabhupada is very nicely explaining this. So Lord Shiva, in answer to that argument, explained here, when a person stands up to offer obeisances in welcome, he offers respect to the super soul who is sitting within everyone's heart. It is seen therefore among Vaishnavas, even when a disciple offers obeisances to his spiritual master immediately returns the obeisances, because they are mutually offered not to the body but to the super soul. Otherwise, spiritual master need not. But because he is offering obeisances to the super soul sitting inside. Plus, we have to also understand the consciousness of a pure devotee is so exalted, and that is why he is called transcendental via media. When respects are offered to such a great personality, he never takes it for himself. He actually thinks, I am actually servant, I don't deserve any respect. That is his consciousness. And that is why he says, Dasosmi. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, whenever anyone would offer his obeisances, he would accept that, because that is an etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette. But he would reply to him, Dasosmi, actually I am your servant. As your servant, spiritual master, I am accepting that respect. So what is his consciousness when he accepts the respect? It is not for himself. He is a transparent via media. Immediately he passes on that respect to the Supreme Lord. Because actually that is a proper etiquette. The respect is offered not to a person. Respect is actually offered to the Supreme Lord through the spiritual master. You see. So, that is a quality, and that is why it is forbidden. Those who are not advanced actually should not allow others to touch his feet. Because generally what will happen, because we are not transparent via media, we will take that respect for ourselves. But general etiquette should be, we should learn this art, that actually whenever respects are offered, it is offered to the Supreme Lord. So that is what Prabhupada is explaining here. Therefore, the spiritual master also offers respect to the super soul situated in the body of the disciple. The Lord says in Srimad Bhagavatam, offering respect to his devotee is more valuable than offering respects to him. But actually the Lord wants His devotee should be worshipped. So, when we are offering our obeisances, we should have both of these understanding, that I am offering respect not only to the super soul present in the heart of my spiritual master, I am also offering my respect to this elevated personality who is a dear servant of the Supreme Lord. You see, that should be the understanding. Devotees do not identify with the body. So offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Lord Vishnu. It is stated also that as a matter of etiquette, as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, one must immediately offer him respect, indicating the super soul sitting within. That is why we decorate this body with tilak. People wonder, why do we apply tilak? Because a Vaishnava considers this body as a temple, and that is why we keep it neat and clean. Just like the temple should be kept neat and clean. So we apply tilak on the body, signifying that actually it is a temple of the Lord. It is not an ordinary body. It is a temple of the Lord, because of the presence of the Supreme Lord inside the heart. Vaishnava sees the body as a temple of Vishnu. Since Lord Shiva had already offered respect to super soul in Krishna consciousness, offering respect to Daksha, who identified with his body, was already performed. There was no need to offer respect to his body, for that is not directed by any Vedic injunctions. So, that is what has to be understood. Another very important thing which Prabhupada is clarifying in today's purport is that a devotee has a clear understanding that it is not that because the Supreme Lord has entered in every body, he has become that body. See, it is just like the living entity also does not become body. He is just occupier of the body. Foolishly we think, I am this body. Reality is, we are not this body, we are occupier of this body. The Supreme Lord, He is the proprietor of that body. He is the controller of that body. So when He is entering into the body, He is entering as a proprietor, as a controller. When we are entering into this body, we are entering as an ignorant personality, and we start thinking, I am this body. It is as good as you are driving a car and you start thinking, I am the car. Grossly we can see, actually this is how it is practiced. Prabhupada gives that example, very gross. So, somebody is driving bus. He identifies himself like a bus. And that is why I tell you, hey rickshaw, move. Isn't it? He is thinking, I am bus, I am big bus. He should give me way, I am big bus. He is simply a small cycle or a rickshaw, move. Just gross example. You can multiply it by 1,000 times because our attachment to this body is so great. So, in that sense, we are thinking, I have become this body, I am this body. So, neither we are this body, nor the Supreme Lord has become this body. It is foolishness to think. So, these Mayavadis understanding, Narayan has now become Daridra. So, we should worship him, Daridra Narayana. This is all foolish understanding. Just because the Lord has entered into the body of a poor man, it is not that the Lord has become Daridra. He is the proprietor of everything. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. out of His mercy, the Lord comes and resides in that body to enlighten and give direction to that forgotten soul. So that has to be understood, and that is what Prabhupada is clarifying. So we'll stop with this. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.